What's up, everybody? What's up? How y'all doing? This is Tavon Mason, former New York Jet wide receiver from Baltimore, Maryland, coming hit to you guys live as we approach Championship Sunday, AFC Championship, NFC Championship. And I wanted just to do a quick video. Actually, it's a live stream to talk about the upcoming games and who we got facing off in the AFC and the NFC. So in the AFC, y'all know we got the Chiefs versus the Bengals. So the Bengals finally got over that hump that they had with Andy Dalton of not getting past the first round of the playoffs, winning a playoff game to advance. To get Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had a devastating injury last year, tearing his knee up, and has come back strong to win the AFC North, which the Bengals have not done in a while, but has showed some glimpse of being able to win the AFC North. They put a goose egg up with the Ravens, beating them both games, just sweeping through the AFC North, and had a great comeback game last week against the Tennessee Titans in the divisional round. I spoke about that earlier on a Twitter kind of like meetup and talking about the Bengals. The Bengals, the Titans had them against the ropes. Simmons was just devastating and destroying the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals, but the Bengals were able to come out on top to win that game. And the one thing that I saw that helped Joe Burrow and those Bengals was they went to short set throwing, meaning three-step, getting the ball out, getting to Jamar Chase, and we see what happened when Jamar Chase get the ball in his hand, to even using the run more, keeping Joe Burrows out of five-step drop, passing plays to allow Simmons to be blocked. One of the things that helped the Bengals out was the Tennessee Titans trying to use Derrick Henry in the capacity that they used him before he got injured. I believe that the Titans would have had a better chance if they ran their young guy that would took over for Henry and worked Henry in slowly. But again, at the end of the day, is whoever got that W on the scoreboard, and that was the Cincinnati Bengals of Joe Burrow. That we're going into Arrowhead Stadium against a Kansas City Chiefs team that we saw at the beginning of the season. The first half of the season just didn't look like the normal Kansas City Chiefs that we've come to know over the years with Patrick Mahomes at the helm and having Coach Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. We can't forget Eric Bieniemy, who should have a head coaching job, by the way. But what we did see against the Buffalo Bills last Sunday night was how the Kansas City Chiefs are able to fight through adversity. We saw Matthews go down from a concussion, and they were getting ripped apart by Josh Allen and that Buffalo's offense, and just running down and just scoring at will. But the thing that we had to remember, and even myself watching that game, that with having Mahomes on the field and having an Andy Reid on the sideline, and you having parts like Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, you got to come ready for war. And we saw Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs go down the field, 40 yards down the field in 10 seconds to be able to kick a field goal to tie the game up. And the crazy thing is, and I know, looking through Twitter and looking through the sports news and everything, everybody are talking about the rules of overtime. And I must say myself that I think it should go back somehow of how the old rules were, that each team get an opportunity to try to score, try to win this game. As soon as that coin flip happened and Mahomes and them won that coin flip, I immediately knew that game was over. And we saw what happened in just a snap of a fingers. They drove down the field using the mismatches with Tyreek Hill in a slot and Kelsey, and just misdirection, running receivers to the right and bringing somebody back to the left in order to get down the field very quickly and ending it with a Kelsey touchdown. So the Cincinnati going to Kansas City, I think it's a little bit different than how they played in Tennessee, for the simple fact that the Chiefs and the Mahomes are a heavy pass team. So in order for Cincinnati to stay on top and to stay in this game and probably have an opportunity to win this game, that O-line have to show up. We saw in that Tennessee Titans game, they just were embarrassed. So hopefully they got that fixed and and knowing how the NFL works, you have to have that fix, and especially if you want to keep your job as an O-line coach and as a head coach. So they have to come ready to play that game up as far as the O-line. I don't see Cincinnati changing anything on the offense. I wouldn't, but just establishing a run more with Mixon to be able to help Joe Burrows. But their defense will have to step up and get some stops against the Kansas City Chiefs in order to have a chance in this game. So for me, my pick, I do have Kansas City going to the Super Bowl game, going out on top against the Bengals. And not because I don't think the Bengals have it. I think they're still a young team, and they're in their project team, meaning that they're still building up some components to that team to help Joe Burrows. Joe Burrows got that swag that he had from LSU, and he bought it this year with Cincinnati with adding Jamar Chase's old teammate. And, with that run game, it's just that hidden piece. I don't care what type of team you have, what caliber team you got. If you don't got those guys up front doing that part, it's going to make it hard. So that's my only drawback with Cincinnati. They still in a rise and might pop back up next year. Only time will tell. So let's move on. Now we have the West Coast boys. We got the Rams versus the 49ers. It's going to be a real good matchup. The one thing that I think the Rams need to do, and I know sometimes it's a sportsman thing, but they got to keep their foot on that pedal. They were up big on Tampa Bay, and then I believe McVay got a little lax and put it in the hands, of their young running back. And we saw what happened, 2 fumbles. Stafford actually had a fumble on that drive, but he was able to regain it back. But when you have a defense like the Rams with Aaron Donald, and you add Von Miller, who takes pressure off of Aaron Donald so he can make big plays, and then you add the other components on that defense, if Stafford and McVay go out slinging, using their Akers when they need to use Akers, using Sony Michel when they need to use Sony Michel, and we know that the defense is going to step up because they did that against Tampa Bay, even though they had struggling offensive line as well. They can come out on top. Now, my pick for that game is a very close one, but I do think the Rams will pull it out. Jimmy G is a great guy, is a great quarterback, but I think it's some struggle there. We saw that with Green Bay. It wasn't him necessarily, it was his receivers dropping the ball. They got a talented defense. However, that offense needs to show up, and this is the time to show up if they can against Stafford and those Rams. And they got to catch Stafford when he's struggling, when he's on his back foot, when he's trying to make things happen instead of running at the offensive play. Because we know in the past, Stafford has some history of throwing interceptions and, getting a little antsy in the pocket and just throwing the ball. And we saw that early in the season. I say, from watching the game when they played the Baltimore Ravens, and a lot of people thought that game would have been a blowout. But if you look at it, it came down to that last drive where OBJ made that catch for the first down and was able to secure the win against the Ravens. But that was a close game where the defense for the Ravens controlled that game for much of the game until that fourth quarter, until the Rams start clicking and getting it rolling. But again, my predictions going out, AFC, I got the Chiefs coming out on top against the Bengals. I just don't think the Bengals will have enough to contain Mahomes unless that defense pressure Mahomes, but they have to do it all the way through the game, the total time of the game. You can't let up, and we saw that with Mahomes against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. They went right down, scored a touchdown, left time on the clock, and Mahomes and the offense was able to go 40 yards in 10 seconds to kick a game-tying field goal to send it to overtime, in which they won. Then we also saw how defense showed up big and special teams showed up big for the 49ers victory, and how Stafford and the Rams, and again, special teams were able to prevail in that Tampa Bay game, even though Tampa Bay clawed back with an ailing offensive line, both tackles, finding it hard to pick up the rush from their edge rushers from the Rams, were able to hold it out. But if we think about it, a lot of these games came down to what? Special teams. Special teams was a huge part of the game. We glorify the offense, whether it's the quarterbacks, the receivers, and the defense, but we forget special teams. Bengals won that way against the Titans. Rams won that way against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the 49ers won that way against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So again, my picks for this Sunday, I got the Chiefs coming out the AFC, and I have the Rams coming out of the NFC. So thank you guys for tuning in. I definitely will be coming back with more of my Tavon Mason's Talking Sports with former NFL player Tavon Mason with the New York Jets. Peace.